So I'm still here. It's still April 29th. It's Adina with Sharing Stories. And since I'm on a roll today, I thought I'd tell another adventure story. Earlier, I told the story of meeting Pierre and the story of my bicycle trip in the Rue de Vin. But today I'm going to tell my little hero story. This is one of my hero stories. In 1983, I was living in Córdoba, Spain. Let me lean back here now, it's too far. And I lived in a place called La Fonda Maestre, which was a beautiful little boarding house hotel with a bunch of wonderful young Spanish students who lived there. And I was like their sister. I was officially initiated into their fraternity, which was very sweet, and I'll tell that story some other time. But because it was also a hotel, there were guests from all different parts of the world that would come through for a few days. And I made friends with a guy from Japan, and Satoshi. We're still friends. And there was this lovely woman from Germany who was in her mid-40s, and she was a school teacher. I've actually written a story about her. Can't remember her first name, so I'm going to call her Bridget. And she was doing something amazing. She was so inspiring because she would teach for a year or two, save up money, and then she'd get on her bicycle and bicycle around the world. And her objective was to go around the whole world. And of course, remember, this is 1983, before you could, have cell phones and take pictures all the time and communicate with people. So her going off on her own was a pretty big deal. But fate should have it that her bicycle broke down in Córdoba while she was staying at the Fonda Maestre. And we became friends. And I took her out one night. There was another young woman staying at the inn. They didn't know each other, but we all became friends. And I wanted to show them my favorite tapas bar. And of course, it's Spain, so everybody goes out, it's late at night. And she was wearing this sort of hippy-dippy pocketbook with a thin rope. And she had told me that she carried with her at all times all of her money for the trip and her documentation. And I had actually said, it would be safer to leave it with la dueña de la casa, but she insisted. She always wanted to have it on her. And goodness, helicopter going overhead. It's like military. Anyway, so we're going down the streets, these narrow, beautiful streets. We lived in the Juderia, which is the old part of Córdoba. It's gorgeous. Stones and twisting little streets. And I had been warned, I'd been living there already for months, that the boys on mopeds were often thieves. If there was two boys on a moped, you had to be very, very careful. And I'd heard this over and over again, but had no trouble whatsoever in the entire time I'd been in Córdoba. But we're going down this little narrow street, and two boys on a moped are trying to get by us. And so we literally stopped and went up against the wall so that the moped could get through. And the boy on the back of the moped grabs her purse, pulls it, and rips it off of her. And it broke. And then they took off down this narrow alley street. And I reacted like that. I was after them, and then the other women started chasing them too, and we were screaming. But I had reacted so quickly that I was on their heels. And because it was such a narrow street that ended and dumped sort of into a main highway area, main street, they couldn't just keep going fast because they could get killed. So they had to stop at the end of the street before going in, and I was right behind them, screaming, and I grabbed the back of their moped and pushed them down, took the pocketbook, and we ran back into the bar, which was on that block. We were panting, we were like in shock, and I was like, I hadn't thought it through, and realizing that it could have been dangerous. I just reacted to save the day, and I did, and I saved. She had like $5,000 in her purse, and all of her documentation. She was so grateful. And that is my hero story. The story gets even better though, because it has a romantic ending, which I'll tell quickly. I had been organizing a cultural event with a group of friends at the university, and I invited this lovely woman to come to one of the events, and she met one of my professors, and they ended up falling in love, and she never left Spain. So I think that's a really cool story. I saved her bag, and I introduced her to her future husband. Unfortunately, I lost touch with all of them, but maybe I'll get to go back to Córdoba someday and find her. Voila. Sharing stories and stuff. Thanks. Ciao.
Hey guys, make sure to share this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe,
Hit the bell.
yeah, hit that bell.
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.
Bye.